guys. Now, for today's family-friendly Curtis story time, I actually want to relate a story to you guys that's really, certainly a one-of-a-kind in my lifetime, and something that, well, it's been, yeah, just a hair under 40 years since this event took place, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And seeing as how I'm doing a story about a one-of-a-kind moment in my life, I thought, what better background than to feature a one-of-a-kind in his own right.
Yeah.
Spaz Kid. Looking at stuff that's, well, probably illegal. Hopefully illegal, because I would hate to think that society is accepting. Oh, that's just... Anyway, you guys, most of you know, I am not a spiritual person at all. I'm an atheist. I'm not a God guy. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in the hereafter, things of that nature. And I just bring this up because it's very, very pertinent to the story. So, given that, this whole thing that took place when I was 16 years old is something to this day that it's never left me, it's never going to leave me, trying to explain exactly what happened. Now, before I get into the story, let me tell you, it has done nothing. This story has done nothing to make me believe in the existence of the supernatural or of spirits or of anything like that. I know there's got to be a rational explanation for it. I just don't have it. What took place was I was 16 years old, and I was living on my own since I was 16. So I had stayed with a buddy of mine, my best friend at the time from school. We lived in the same small little town, and I was staying at his house. And what it was his dad was the minister of one of the local churches. I've forgotten which denomination, but one of the local Christian churches. And they had, it was a really big church with a really big building attached to it where they had all their meetings and stuff like that. The house was big, but down in the parking lot of the house, they had a trailer, you know, a camping trailer, one of the old tin trailer types. Well, that's where my buddy John and I would stay. When I came over and hung out with him, we'd sleep out in the trailer there. So one night we're out, we both had girlfriends. Can you believe it? I had a girlfriend. We both had our girlfriends. We went out, you know, had a good time. My girlfriend went home. I come back to the trailer, and John was in the trailer with his girlfriend. So, you know, bro code, you don't disturb that or anything. So, oh, and I should mention too that his parents were not at home. His parents were actually out of the country, and they were taking a trip to, I remember it was some sort of holy land. Again, that holy stuff is, it means nothing to me, so I couldn't even tell you where, but they were out of the country. His aunt was staying in the house just so he had an adult there with him. So I get back to the trailer, my buddy John and his girlfriend are in there, so I just start walking around the grounds and stuff, and you know, she'd have to go home eventually, and I didn't want to burst in on them. Now, my friend John had a French poodle. It's a good-sized dog. He was jet black, you know, curly hair, French poodle, typical. And I swear the dog had freaking springs in his legs and feet. When he jumped, I mean, he had a vertical. He'd come up and look you right in the eyes. He was, you know, he just insane amount of ability for jumping, and that's what he would do whenever he was excited. He would jump, just spring up and down, and he never got more excited than when he would see my friend John. That was his dog. So I'm walking around the house. I'm right near the trailer where John and his girlfriend are doing whatever they're doing. And again, it was a big house. In one of the upstairs windows, now it was all dark upstairs, in the upstairs windows I see a pair of eyes come up in the window. And I hear whining. So it's just a... And I'm like, uh-oh, something's wrong with Jacques. So I walk over, I'm down on the ground, and I yell up, I say, Jacques! Hey Jacques, what's the matter, pal? And the eyes went back down. Didn't see anything for a few seconds, then the eyes came back up in the window and goes, ooh, ooh. And I'm telling Jacques, what's going on? What's going on, pal? And he would react. I mean, he knew me well. He would react to me too, but there was no reaction. Just this lonesome whine type of thing. Like, what the hell's going on? And of course, all I could see were the eyes, but that didn't surprise me because the room was jet black and Jacques was jet black. So I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So this happened like probably 3 or 4 times. The eyes would come up and make that whining sound. And it was not, in no relation to me calling to him. It was just kind of random. So after about this 3rd or 4th time, I said, screw this. There's something wrong with Jacques. So I go run over. I bang on the trailer door. And John's like, get lost, because he thinks I'm just screwing around because he knows his girlfriend's in there. So I'm just trying to be a jerk because, you know, I'm a jerk. But I'm going, John, there's something wrong with Jacques. He's going, get lost. Come on, stop. I said, no, for reals. Come on out. There's something wrong with Jacques. And he knew from my voice, I wasn't screwing around. So him and his girlfriend, they come flying out. I said, come here, he's upstairs. I don't know what he's doing. And so we all stood there, and I'm fortunate to this day, he still backs up my story, because I would have thought I've imagined this by now. And he starts yelling, Jacques, hey Jacques. Well, it was not in response to his call, just the same thing. Those eyes would come up, you'd see the eyes and go, ooh, ooh, make that forlorn sound, and go back down. And John goes, oh yeah, there's something wrong with him. And I said, well, let's go check on him. He says, well, wait a second, I want to see something. So I don't know what he wanted to see, but the eyes came up again, and he goes, ooh, ooh. He goes, I don't think that's Jacques. I said, well, who the hell is it? I mean, there's nobody else in the house to be up there whining. I'm sure your aunt isn't up there bringing her head up to the window and whining a little bit. He goes, I'm telling you, that's not Jacques. Now, where we were standing, it was probably just, I don't know, I'm trying to picture in my mind, 20 feet to run around to the back door of the house. There's a back porch, one of the ways you could come in. So my buddy says, listen, the next time his eyes come up in the window, let's run around to the back porch. There's no way Jacques could run all the way down the stairs, through the dining area, kitchen, to the back porch to get there before we do. I'm like, okay. So sure enough, here come the eyes again. Sound. We all three of us, we take off, we run around the corner, jerk open the door, the back porch, there's Jacques sitting there tied up. He was on his leash in the back porch with the door closed into the house. So now we're like, I gotta admit, I don't even believe in anything occult or anything like that. And I peed a little bit. I peed a lot at that point. And we're all stunned. And so then we go into the house, and John goes running and asks his aunt, he says, hey, has Jacques been tied up in the back for a while? She said, yeah, most of the evening, because they had hardwood floors. She said he kept going up and down the stairs, and his nails on the hardwood stairs were driving me nuts. She was sitting downstairs watching TV. And John goes, well, how long? She goes, all evening. He's been there all evening. So now, we didn't even tell her what happened, but the three of us went up into that room. We looked around. We looked around in the dark first, then we turned the light on. I don't know why in the dark first. Maybe we were looking for the eyes or whatever. Nothing in there. We found nothing. We never found anything. We looked all through the house. Again, it was a huge house. We looked through all the rooms, the ones that they weren't even, because a lot of them they weren't even using. They were a small family. Looked everywhere. Nothing was there. We went back outside. We stood outside that window for, I don't know how long. It seemed like well over an hour. The eyes, the whole whining thing, never came back. Nothing. It was difficult to sleep that evening. We ran everything through our head we could think of. It wasn't a squirrel. Eyes were way too wide, set apart. The head was too big. But all you could see were those eyes. And again, that part I get, because whatever it was obviously black. Because again, it didn't even strike me when I thought it was Jacques. It didn't even strike me that, I couldn't see anything else because the room was dark. Jacques is completely black as well. I will say this, and it's not in hindsight, even at the time I think I didn't want to see this, but the eyes were they weren't like something you see in a horror movie, glowing red, but they had a very reddish tint to the eyes. So whatever it was, and again, guys, I'm telling you, I still don't believe I had any type of experience other than something totally worldly. What it was, no idea. No idea what kind of animal that was that somehow got into the house and disappeared without us ever seeing it. Maybe, and why it was making that whining sound, I couldn't tell you. But I thought I'd share this with you. I know this happens to most people, or well, from what I read, when something like this happens to people, they immediately, if they haven't already, they believe in, that next level. They believe in that there's something more out there. I don't. I'm sure there's a logical explanation for it. I just haven't been able to come up with it. And I can picture those eyes and hear that sound in my head. As damaged as my memory is, I can remember it like it was yesterday. And I've spoken to John since, and he remembers the same thing. It wasn't just me. So take it for what it's worth. That's my one experience in life that I absolutely can't explain. I mean, I've done a lot of other strange and bizarre things in my life, but I can explain them all because I'm strange and bizarre. That's the explanation. But the night of the glowing eyes in the darkened room at the church, no clue.